Developing Medical Educators Group networking meeting. Chuffed to have so many of you here, and it just goes to show how brilliant a group this can be going forward, and what a force for change we can be. Enough developing medical educators and early career educators being involved, hopefully we can really make a difference. So the Developing Medical Educators Group is a part of the Academy of Medical Educators, and we're really aiming to promote the development of early career educators, and that's including doctors, medical students, dentists, physician associates and veterinary educators. All are welcome to help junior educators develop, firstly to become better educators and to make our various workplaces better and an environment for learning, but also to become members of the Academy of Medical Educators. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about who we are, and what we really want to know is who you are, what your goals are, what you would like out of the Developing Medical Educators Group. Now, if you were here a second ago, you'd have heard Katie talk about a MIRO board, and what we have in the chat is we have a link to MIRO, and if whilst I'm rambling on, you guys could sign up there, and all will become clear as the evening progresses. So really, the Developing Medical Educators Group is an amalgamation of a couple of groups that have existed before: the Early Careers Group of the Academy of Medical Educators and the Clinical Teaching Fellows Forum. And really, these all had the same aims. These had the aims of really trying to create a network of junior educators who could share ideas up and down the country, and also drive forward education, so that we're making sure that we're not getting stuck in the mud, and we can continue to develop the sort of educators of the future. Now, one of the things we would like to do is we would like to have a lot of engagement with people who want to be involved. We want to have as many people getting involved as possible, having great ideas and sharing those great ideas, because really great ideas are great ideas wherever they come from. Whether you're a veterinary student from Dundee who has a great idea about how we can change our teaching, or whether you're, you know, on your F5 year at St George's, you know, everyone has these great ideas. And what would be brilliant is if we could create an environment of sharing and all of that going forward. So really what we're going to do is tonight hopefully talk about some of those ideas and find out who you are and a bit more about this. So DMEG is a part of the Academy of Medical Educators, and for myself the Academy of Medical Educators has been incredibly supportive to the development of my career. And one of the things we hope that DMEG will provide you with is the ability to liaise with absolutely top quality educators who are leading in their field right across the country. They're a charitable organisation who have developed advanced education as their primary aim. And what we would love is we would love as many people to become members of the Academy as possible and members of the Developing Medical Educators Group. So really, the aims of DMEG are to support new educators in their development to become members. And hopefully, as we go through today, some of the processes and how you become a member, how you get involved in DMEG, and what we can offer you going forward will become clear, and you'll be as excited as we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over to Meg to talk about our committee, what we're aiming to achieve, what's on offer over the next year or so, and how you can get involved, and then we will continue from there. So over to you, Meg. But thank you everyone for coming. It's absolutely brilliant.
Thanks, Jamie. Hi, everyone. I'm MAGNA. I'm one of the committee members, and I'm just going to introduce the team really and talk a little bit about what we hope to do as part of DMEG. So there are three co-leads, Katie, who you'll hear from in a little while, Lewis and Jamie, who you've just met. And there's the rest of the team who will all be organising the various DMEG events that we have in store. So you'll meet a couple of them also later on the call, like Lisa, and there's Ben and Nav who are also on this meeting. So feel free at any point to message any one of us, with any questions you might have, or put some messages in the chat as well if you have any questions. So what about DMEG itself and what we have planned? So we hope for DMEG, a lot of what Jamie said really, to be a platform to meet fellow educators. And to do this, we're hoping to hold various networking events. We like to start by them being quarterly networking events, and might add on a few depending. And these regular events will be open to educators in various fields, so medicine, dentistry, vet meds, physician associates, and nursing as well. So trying to keep it as inclusive as possible, and some events might be more tailored to certain specialties. Going on from this, we also hope to hold conferences throughout the year, again, where we can help facilitate your career aspirations and meet these top quality educators who are leads in their fields as well. And finally, another thing that we have in store is a podcast that we'd like to introduce. And so watch this space, so that should be coming up soon. And we want to touch on topics like widening participation and interprofessional education. So those are a couple of ideas that we had, but we'd also like to hear from you guys what you would gain from DMEG and what you want us to help with as well. So that's hopefully you guys try to log on to MIRO. I'll pass on to Lisa, who will be talking through what those ideas might be.
So hi everybody. So some of you have found MIRO and I've let you in. I didn't realise that it might be a sort of a let-in situation, but I'm letting you in as you're applying. So please do keep signing up and being let into the MIRO board. For those who are already there, you should see a bubble asking who you are at the top. So if Nav could pan up to that bit on the screen that he's sharing. There we go, lovely. And you should see everybody else's mouses whizzing around, picking up stickies and introducing themselves. So if the people who are on the MIRO board wouldn't mind grabbing a sticky, dragging it across and typing in sort of your name, who you are, where you are, and sort of any interest you have in medical education, etc., etc. And for those who haven't yet quite got onto the MIRO board or aren't on a desktop to do that, Nav is sharing his screen so you can see what we're all seeing, and perhaps it will convince you to perhaps find a computer so you can join in a bit more. If you can't go on the MIRO board again for any reason, just pop it in the chat. So just a bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, your interest in medical education. The stickies are all there. Have a little play with it. It is it's a fun little tool we found. I'm quite excited about it. So you join the MIRO board by clicking on the link that we put at the beginning. I don't know if someone wants to re-copy and paste that. Thank you. And I'm letting you all in. So already I can see there's lots of different people from different places. So I'm just letting people in. We're coming in thick and fast.
I'm loving it. Loads of people are getting involved. We've got some really interesting, different things. This is fab. Excellent.
There's so many of you. This is amazing. We've got teaching fellows. We've got people having just graduated from medical school. Congratulations, Basma. A dental core trainee. Fabulous. We've got an international person, Clément Donde. Hello.
Or bonsoir.
Or bonsoir.
Very inclusive, Katie.
Oh,
Bonsoir, bonsoir.
no,
We've gone international. It's brilliant.
new F1s. Oh my lord. I don't think as a new F1 I had enough time to like eat and drink, let alone get into a webinar on my future in education. So thank you for coming. I just remember I don't actually remember much of my first couple of months as a doctor. So So yeah, chuffed for you to be here. Great to have some dentists as well. It's really important that this becomes a multi-professional group, so not just an echo chamber for one type of education going forward. So it's brilliant to see so many different people here.
Who else have we got? Oh, we've got Anna at ST6 in North Scotland. Welcome, Anna, all the way from the very top of the world, having finished a PG cert and doing a year of advanced training education. Ooh. Oh, we've got someone from the University of Washington. How exciting. Amazing. So we've got lots of people from lots of different disciplines at lots of different stages across the world, it seems. This is really cool.
I'm going to have to zoom out a bit further.
Yeah, exactly. I want to zoom out. Amazing. So for everyone, I don't know if the team, maybe if the DMEG team wants to introduce kind of what they are and where we're from. So mine was the first little pink sticky up on the top right corner. So I'm a GP trainee based in Oxford. Jamie, you've put a little sticky on there.
Yeah, I did. I actually accidentally deleted my sticky, so that is like a truncated version. And I haven't attempted to write anymore. So yeah, I'm Jamie. I probably should have introduced myself a minute ago. I'm a teaching fellow at the University of Surrey, and I teach on the Physician Associate Programme, and I'm a med-reg at the Royal Surrey County Hospital. One of my big interests in medical education is the transition from student to doctor, and that's something that I've always been interested in, and something I'm keen to work on a bit more. Who else have we got? Nav, tell us a bit about yourself.
So this is my very interesting sticky. Hold on, am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I'm a very recent F3, interested in teaching, have always been when I trained in Newcastle. And I guess if it's any consolation to those of you who are, as Katie and Jamie said, very early into your education experience, I'm basically there as well. You know, I don't have a definitive interest in any particular field in med ed. I just know I love to teach. I want to get more stuck in, and I'm part of this group to try and help me ensure that education is going to be part of my career, whatever that happens to be. So that's me. What else can I see? Megs, you're over there. You already spoke. Do you want to tell us about you?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yes, I should have probably said a bit more about myself earlier too. I'm Magna. I'm also an F3. I did my F1 and F2 at Watford, and like Nav, I'm very interested in teaching and medical education. So I've done a lot to medical students whilst at Watford, and also to physician associates at Watford. So I was the lead of the programme there. However, I haven't actually done much in terms of the qualifications and the big stuff. So I'm hoping to do a PG cert, and I'm only an associate member at the moment, but I'd like to build on that as well. And that's where I am at the moment. So if I go on to a sticky of someone else's that I can see from the committee.
Should be me. I can go.
Yeah, Ben, do you want to go?
Yeah. Hello everyone, I'm Ben. I'm also a GP trainee in Oxford. I actually met Lisa, who's the other committee member, for the first time today. Back to some face-to-face teaching, which was really good. Before I started GP training, I was a teaching fellow down in Swindon. And during that time, I did various teaching for Bristol and Oxford students, but I developed sort of an interest in simulation, and in particular point of care simulation with sort of undergraduate students to immerse themselves in the real life scenarios with a busy ward going on around you, and had some pretty good feedback for that. And yes, similar to Nav, I have an interest in lots of things with medicine and teaching, and joined this committee and wanted to be a part of this group to try and build on that and encourage others to get involved and to sort of facilitate it, to make it easier to get involved with education, because it's great fun.
So we've heard from a lot of medical people, you know, bar any other medics happy to pitch in, but I see some dentists in the field as well. You know, you can forever hold your peace, but does anyone else want to introduce themselves and maybe talk about a bit what their background is in education, what they hope to do?
Hi, my name is Uday. I'm one of the ST. Hi, I'm one of the ST3 registrars in Watford General. So I received an email from MAGNA yesterday. So I did my undergraduate training in India, and then I came for my postgraduate training here. And I noticed a lot of differences in the teaching methodologies, wherein we moved from pure theoretical knowledge to questioning our minds to try to find the answer by ourselves. And I certainly do like to teach, but I don't know where to begin or how to further my career in this. So in all honesty, I came with no expectations today, and to learn and just imbibe whatever you guys are talking. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
No, brilliant. Thank you so much for coming. I think really that's such a common thing for people who I've talked to about medical education and education in general, to say that they just don't know where to start. They don't know whether they should just get teaching. Are you allowed to just teach? Are you just expected to teach? And how do you really get cracking? And hopefully, one of the things this group will be able to do is help people with that and pinpoint people to the right directions going forward. Because I know certainly of people who are great teachers who just get lost and not able to progress in teaching just because it's a bit of a minefield of how you get going, and hopefully we can provide some pointers on that.
So I think that obviously we've got so many people, and if you still want to introduce yourselves or add to a little sticky on the who are you section, then please do carry on, because we'd love to hear more about where you all are and where you're coming from and your experience so far. But for everybody else, if you'd like to sort of zoom out using the zoom function in the bottom right hand corner, and then pan down to the next question, which should be, what can DMEG do for you? And I can see lots of people's pointers are moving down. That's lovely. Perfect. Well done, everyone. Sort of navigating the board really well. Fine. So, like it says on the tin, what can DMEG do for you? So you've heard lots about sort of who we are and where we've come from and sort of what our aims are. But actually, like the group is here to help you and to basically feed off you and to figure out what it is exactly that DMEG can do, because the more that we know that you want from us, the more that we can all achieve together and the better this network is going to be. So I've come up with a few ideas or a few sort of like categories, such as, are you joining a network? Who's part of this network? How is a network going to exist? How often would you meet up with this network, for example? Those sorts of things. Do you want access to resources? What sort of resources would they be? Events and workshops, again, what sort of events, workshops, how often, how would they be delivered? Or if you think of anything else, because obviously my mind and our minds are only so big. So we'd love to hear what you guys come up with.
Oh, this is amazing. We've already had some volunteers to assist with committee sessions as well, workshops. We're really new, like we said at the beginning. We've sort of just expanded ourselves in the last couple of months, so we are looking for feedback and contributions and expertise, so that's really helpful as well. Help me with resources. This seems like we've got a lot of content to do a lot of sessions. This is very helpful. I think we're going to have a lot to work with. So explaining the different courses in medical education, how they vary. I just want to launch in and start answering things, but I think we can save some of the answers for one another and also maybe for future sessions.
Definitely.
I love that, being part of a group in constant training and development. That's awesome. Like, I think one of the things for me about where we are as junior educators and what we do is that quite often you do something awesome, you do it at your place of work, and then you leave that place of work because we're all moving around the whole time and getting new jobs here, there and everywhere. And then that piece of work is gone. And then it's on someone else to either restart or redo. And for me, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have a network in the first place, because, you know, in my trust, when I was working at Frimley, the guys at the other site were doing the exact same project as we were, and no one knew. And if we just pooled our resources and constantly worked together to develop and add and tweak, we actually might make some progress. It might make some incredible pieces of work going forward.
And I really like, there's somebody here who suggested doing, oh my goodness, I'm drawing all over the board. There's someone here who suggested developing a research network, so specifically sort of scholarship and research based. That's really exciting. So even where people are coming up with subgroups already, this is really exciting.
I did want to just add, actually, if there's people that have posted questions there, or wanting just a little bit of information, we're not going to, like I said, we can't delve into it too much today, unfortunately. But if you're in the room, in the virtual room at the moment, and you've got a resource or somewhere to signpost, please do post next to their post-it and give some advice. We're a community, it's not a hierarchy here, so we're a network, so please do share your resources here as well. It's really helpful, and we'll build on those in future sessions, hopefully.
So lots of collaboration and, you know, like Katie just said, in terms of sharing resources and how we can all sort of work together. Where to find help with running bleep on call practice for medical students is as a project someone's put in here. So, I mean, on call and bleep simulations are something that you kind of see getting done time and time again in sort of silos, like Jamie had mentioned. But actually, if we could all sort of band together and come up with a more standard one, or help each other out with delivering those things, actually it might make, you know, a lot less work for everybody.
Absolutely. And then also this brilliant one in the middle, guidance on various med ed pathways. Now, like Katie says, we can't delve into absolutely everything and talk the hind legs off a donkey about all this stuff, but one of the things we would like to do is to highlight the different pathways that are available to people. And I think one thing I advise as developing educators is that there is no set pathway. There is no one way of doing things. If you don't get an academic clinical fellowship, that's not the end. There are a whole host of different pathways and ways to get involved and different pots of funding. You just got to find out what works for you and what's in your area. What we will be doing is hopefully doing some individual talks for each specialty to talk about how you can get involved in education, what possibilities there are, what you need to do to get involved, so that we can do that going forward. I was quite worried when I started in med ed that I thought that I was on some odd track, and really you sort of end up meeting incredible people, getting involved in various different places. And if I could do one big plug for the Academy, is that they have been incredibly supportive of everything I've tried to do, and by joining them you have a huge group of senior educators who can advise and highlight where to go and support and send emails. So it really is an invaluable resource if you want to start on that journey. Sorry for butting in, Lisa.
I forgot what I wanted to say.
May I just add as well, if you guys are ever uncertain, just like I was, like embarking on something in education, I just guess by being here, you know, that's a good first step into the foray of thinking about how education might link in your future career. So obviously I'm biased, but I would say you're doing the right thing, you know, just by being here and exposing yourself to things like this.
I think the lack of sort of like clear pathway that's in medical education kind of really lends itself nicely to networking being the way to get somewhere. So, but you can't just sort of like join a training program in medical education. It's about sort of building networks, collaborating with people, like finding people who share your interests, finding people that want to work with you and things like that. So actually like joining this and being part of this is definitely a good first step. I completely agree with Nav. If anybody has any sort of like specific ideas for like events and workshops as well, that would be great to hear. Like, what if you could sort of design your, or if you can come up with a perfect event that you saw it on Twitter and you thought, yes, I'd go to that. What would that workshop or event be called, or what would it look like?
Absolutely, and sometimes having an idea on how to progress in your career can be helpful. And I think that's something we would like to do. Have a panel of people who've got to where they are in medical education or veterinary education through whatever means they've got there. There are so many different paths, and it would be great to just hear some people's stories of what they're doing. I know certainly within our group on the committee for DMEG, we've got some really weird and wonderful paths that people have taken to where they've got to, and various cool things they've done along the way. So it is a completely individual thing, and that's why being involved in education from this point and the start of your careers is so important. And that would be fab.
This is really exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
I apologise for how quiet we're all being at times, but I think we're all just very, very engrossed in reading the MIRO board. This is really, really interesting.
Oh, it looks like Nav might have left. Is that Nav leaving?
Oh dear.
He evidently didn't like one of the suggestions.
Oh dear, his laptop just died apparently. Let me just. I'll share my screen temporarily even.
We can keep looking at the MIRO board, can't we, everyone?
Yeah.
Got some suggestions about interprofessional medical education. I think that will cheer Jamie up.
Oh, I love interprofessional education. It's one of my favourite things to talk about after coffee and cycling. We will be hopefully hosting another professional conference at some point or so, talking about how we can best work together in order to get the best out of our teams. And you know, we had some fascinating speakers at a conference we ran earlier this year, and I really think that talking about interprofessional education at the start of your education journey, I mean, that is just setting you up to be a fantastic educator, and I'm pleased that you're here. And hopefully we can help facilitate those discussions, come up with new ideas about how to run various sessions and take things from there. But I think that's brilliant. Yeah, IPE for the win.
Thank you all for please do keep adding to the MIRO board. We are going to be just moving on to a little bit of a slightly different activity now, and I think it feeds into a lot of what you've been saying already in the comments in the chat and speaking aloud, and then also adding onto different bits of the board. I think some of you have raised some really pertinent questions throughout this discussion so far. It's only been half an hour, but somebody's, you know, where can I find a good accredited course? How can I get involved in research? how can I meet new people to develop? Lots of really poignant questions about clinical education. So the next thing is a little bit, we're all in healthcare. I think most of us are in healthcare. Actually, if you're not in healthcare, please do comment in the chat, but we are all reflective beings. So the next exercise is a really short reflective exercise to have a little think about where you are in your clinical education trajectory and where you want to be as well. So I want you to have a little bit of a think about what you have done or what you've been involved in the last 3 months to do with clinical education. So that could be teaching, research, scholarship, leadership. It could be something that you might perceive to be small. It might be something absolutely massive. I want you to have a think about those things. And I'd love it if you could just jot them down. They could be, you can share them underneath on the giant Miro board. You can share them in the chat. You can keep them to yourself. Honestly, it's just a little bit of a reflective exercise for you. So we just want to know a little bit about what you've been up to in the last 3 months, if possible. Others from the committee do share as well. So I might, this is great. Yeah, please add on. That's fab. Anybody want to say it aloud as well, please do shout out. So anything that you've been up to in the last 3 months.
I can go for mine. So my name's Son. I'm one of the dentists, I think, I can see in this chat. And I think in the past 3 months, I think it's been difficult. Well, actually, in the past year, I'd say. So dentistry is a very practical degree. So to teach that when we're in the virtual landscape and then evolving into the practical landscape was a bit different. And in my position, I had a couple of times when I was supervising undergrads. So it's that not only do you teach them the theory, but then you also need to teach them the practicalities of it. So how can you do that on the virtual setting? And then how can you do that in the real setting? But now that I've, since leaving that post, I'm moving into a different role with the CQC, and then I'll be learning different things in terms of leadership. So a very different kind of world in the world of dentistry. So where I want to go going forwards in terms of teaching is exactly, I think has been highlighted by many people here, is what is the pathway? For me, I don't really know anything about the dental education landscape other than the fact that I've seen people who are teachers and they've just fallen into it, really. I've done a PG cert, as is some of the colleagues in my chat, in this chat here, and it's just all about what do we do going forward, really.
Thank you so much for sharing, Son. Clearly, really challenging time to be a sort of involved in education, especially with more hands-on professions like dentistry. It's really helpful to share. I think we're a little bit medicine dominated, so we can sometimes think in silos. So it's really helpful for us to have lots of contribution from different professions, different backgrounds. If you're on the Miro board, if you want to scroll down a little bit, if you want to drag yourself down, Lisa has kindly, I think some people are quite happy to share. I didn't want to make it that you had to do it public because some of this can be quite personal. But if you do want to add what you've done in the last 3 months, Lisa had put a post-it there, so you can just share underneath if you want to. You don't have to, you can keep this personal as well. So we've had a few things. So we've got finishing up a systematic review. So involved in research, and that's looking at educator training pathways in postgraduate medical education. Interviewing. This one's my one actually, so I can read it. So left my job as a lecturer and feel like I've left a little bit of my educational professional identity behind. Supervised dental undergraduates, completed a PG cert in med ed, fab. Running a paediatric podcast, this is really interesting. And rapid review of evidence. Piecing together a PhD project. So we've got it seems like we've got a big spectrum of different people in different areas of their clinical education careers, and that's absolutely fine. We have sort of branded ourselves as for early career educators, but we are very welcoming of all stages. Finished F2, yeah, great. Well done, congratulations. Ran a big simulation project for new FY1, so that's foundation Year 1 doctors, I think they're referring to, and finish their masters. Excellent.
Someone taught themselves how to do 2 push-ups. That's amazing.
Yes, I love it. Please don't make these purely just academic. You might be able to tell we're not the most
Well done, sir.
professional and serious of people, so do put whatever you've got on there. Do share. So whilst you're doing that, I think people are having a little look at it, and some people are still having a little look above at the other things. The next thing I'd like you to have a little bit of a go at, and I don't know whether, Lisa, would you mind just putting another title on here, because it seems like people are quite happy to share on the MIRO, but for the next thing, I'd like you to have a little bit of a think about where you'd see yourself in a year's time. So this is so we've looked back on the last 3 months, and where do you want to be in 12 months time, and that's sort of mainly in terms of a clinical educational career. So what's your sort of goals for the next 12 months? It might just be surviving my job and doing something after, but just be as honest as you'd like. I think Lisa has put, yeah, she's done a little title there. So if you just scroll yourself down right to below all of those post-its and start checking on some post-its about where you see yourself in the next 12 months, or put it in the chat, or keep it in your head, or put it on a piece of paper. Nothing's being assessed here. Thank you so much for sharing in the chat as well. So we've got a core surgical trainee who's done a master's in med ed, bit of research, and looking for a supervisor and having difficulties with ethical approvals. If we've got anybody here that would like to help Sanjid out, sorry, is that your name? Yeah, Sanjid, sorry, I think I called you something else. Your name's different, actually. Sorry, please take their email and feel free to email them.
Look at that, created the first national
This is fab, thank you, yeah, please do. And also, if you're not yet a member of the Academy, Sanjid, we're going to go through how to join in a second, and then we can put you in contact with some of the more senior educators, because as you might be aware, all of us on the Developing Medical Educators Committee here are more early career educators, so we probably aren't in the position to supervise you, but there are plenty of other people in the Academy that might be available or able to, or at least could signpost you to other people more locally as well. And where do you see yourself in 12 months? Completing a PG cert, whilst working in Australia, publishing research, teaching PAs, medics, nurses, applying for membership. Yes, we love to see it. Publishing new papers regarding medical education in developing countries. Really interesting. Do some work in some low-income countries as well. And there's a really tiny one here on time. Speak at the local Med Ed conference. Yes, this is great. So please do add to it. None of this is, we're not going to hold you to it. We're not going to chase you up in 12 months and make sure you've done your CPD to get there. This is for you. And it's good to get an idea of who's here and what they want to do. So the final part of this exercise is, which sort of ties in quite nicely into this one, is how are you going to get there? So what are you going to do in the next 3 months? So it's the rule of 3-12-3, just a short reflective activity. What are you actually going to do in the next, what practical steps are you going to take to work towards that goal? Same again, just you can write it in your own, piece of scrap paper that you've got in front of you, back of a newspaper, that makes me sound really old, on your phone, or pop it on the MIRO as well. So what are you going to do? Oh, being a new mom, I love it, amazing. Very exciting.
I love all of this, guys. This is great. This is like one big therapy session.
And if you don't feel comfortable sharing on the board, that's absolutely fine. Just keep it to yourself or speak aloud, whatever you want to do. If anybody's having any issues with the MIRO, struggling to navigate it, do write in the chat. I think we'll give you another couple of minutes and then we'll move on and begin to tie things up a little bit. Make sure, I really want you, if you have put those goals on the Miro board, do also write them down for yourself now as well. That's your homework. Just write them down and take them away and have a little bit of a think about them. I think sometimes for some people, depending on which role you're in, clinical education can take a little bit of a back step, can't it, to your other roles? So having that to motivate you and inspire you to continue with all this good work is going to be really helpful. Now, would you be happy to bring back the PowerPoint now? Sorry to curtail this, it's only a short hour-long session today, and we probably need to begin to tie some things up so that you all get away on time. Although I've realised some people here are on completely different time zones, so who knows when you're joining, like what time you're in. Fabulous, thank you. So just before we finish up, could you just pop in the chat if you're already a member of the Academy of Medical Educators? And it doesn't matter what sort of member you are. So we've got one hand. Is that a hand raised just to say that you're a member, or was that a question? I think. Oh, member, fab. Yeah, just so we've got some members already. So some of the committee members.
I'm a member.
Please do just say, yeah, Lisa's a member, fab, I'm a member. Anyone else? Well, it looks like we've got a handful of members, but if this is good, so I am sorry to those of you who are already members. There may be a little bit of repetition, but we wanted to make this as inclusive as possible. Is there anybody in the chat who is thinking about potentially joining the Academy? Please put in the chat if you're thinking about it, or raise your hand. That's easier. Applying for fellowship this year, amazing. Yeah, we've got some other people that are thinking. Yeah, good luck, Anna, good luck. Great, we've got a few other hands going up as well, which probably means that we've got a few other people in the audience that are interested in joining the Academy. So for those of you who are not aware of what we mean by a membership, there are essentially different sort of tiers of membership, and you can move between those tiers of membership at any sort of given stage once you have fulfilled the criteria, which I'm going to go over very quickly. So because we've got quite a wide range here, and also because we are the Developing Medical Educators group, I'm going to focus more towards the associate membership, student membership and membership. Apologies, Anna, I'm not really going to cover fellowship, as that's probably a little bit beyond us in the Developing Medical Educators group, but this is really, it's obviously amazing that you're going for it as well. So associate membership is mainly for those with an interest in medical education, but who may not be or not yet professionally involved. So they may be sort of very early career educators or administrators and managers of medical educators who wish to just demonstrate their support for the Academy's objectives, and you only really need to provide your contact details, career details, qualifications, a statement and a signature. From what we've discussed today, it sounds like many more of you would probably already be at the student membership or the membership stage, although I can't comment on your exact credentials. So for student membership, this is aimed at our undergraduates or even postgraduate students as well, depending on what course you're doing. For example, our physician associate students are postgrads, but that would be inclusive of the student membership, who already have an interest in medical education and wish to show their support for the Academy's objectives and aims. Students may wish to convert to an associate or full membership after graduation, and as part of this membership, you need to write a 500-word reflective piece and provide a reference from a medical educator. Membership, so this is for everybody that might have done an accredited course, so you can apply directly via your accredited course. And what I mean by that is a postgraduate certificate in medical education or clinical education. I did post the link earlier. Or for those who are sort of more professionally involved in medical education at any stage of your career. So you might be a teaching fellow, you might be a lecturer, you might be whatever, all along the spectrum. Applicants for membership must demonstrate a commitment to medical education, either via this accredited course or basically with evidence of sort of CPD in medical education, peer review of teaching, reflection on feedback, as well as a reference. I don't want to go through this in too much detail at this point because it can sound a little complicated. Essentially, the main thing is a reflective piece, and already getting you to jot down those goals of what you want to do in the next 12 months and what you've already achieved is beginning. It's scraping the surface of getting you to think reflectively and getting you to think about how you might put together an application for the Academy. The website has lots of really useful links and resources available there for you to have a little look at, and sort of lots of good guidance on how to write for one of these applications. By doing so, if you join the Academy, you'll be joining a community of like-minded individuals, which can be a real boost for your career development, and you'll be able to network with many other like-minded medical educators at every level. You'll be able to access workshops, masterclasses, events, and we hope that you'll use the opportunities afforded by your membership to exert your influence on the future of medical education. So now, would you mind just moving on to the next slide? Is that all right? I feel a bit like Chris Whitty asking you to do that.
No, that's all right.
Thank
the
you.
laptop froze with it. There we go.
Oh, fabulous. And in terms of sort of future events, we already touched on this at the very beginning, and our next event is going to be the Teaching to Teach workshop at the Academy of Medical Educators 2021 conference, which is taking place between the 14th to the 16th of September. So if you haven't already signed up for that, do go and check out the website and sign up. There are free places available for students. So if you're a student in the audience tonight, definitely go and sign up. Our workshop will be taking place on the first day, so on the 14th between 11 and 12. So if you were one of those people that put down on your goal, I just want to get involved in teaching, but I'm not really sure how to do it, then this is the workshop for you. And finally, just to summarise, you've probably got the idea now, but we are the Developing Medical Educators Group. We are a branch of the Academy of Medical Educators. We are open to all early career educators who are student, associate or full members of the Academy. At present, members can attend events free of cost, but non-members will be expected to pay a small fee. That's for our DMEG events alone. Obviously, if we're doing a DMEG event at another conference, the usual conference rules and prices will apply. So how do you join? If you would like to join the Developing Medical Educators Group and receive the latest updates and event information, please complete the sign up form on our website, which I think somebody is just going to, I can post in the chat now, and look out for all of our DMEG events on social media. We are on Twitter at DevMedEd. We have the website link there as well, so do have a look at that. I've posted it in the chat and I've posted the sign up form in the chat, and our Our email is dmeg@medicaleducators.org.uk. We're going to be running quarterly seminars, networking events. We're going to be taking on board your ideas from today and putting those into practice in some of our sessions. We are about to launch a podcast, and basically we're going to be a very vibrant, interactive community of medical educators. If anybody's got any questions at all, please do post in the chat. I think Tony's one of the amazing administrators behind the Academy scenes that literally does everything, all things Academy of Medical Educators. So do email them or drop them a line. I think Jodie's here as well, who's also excellent. Yeah, Jodie's posted there as well about our upcoming conference. So yes, do check that out. Does anybody have any questions or comments at all? And does anybody from the rest of the committee does anyone from the rest of the committee have anything to add?
Nil point. nothing to add.
Does anybody else, do you have anything to add in the chat from the session tonight? No? Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. This was one of our, we've done one event already, but this is our second event. So we are really grateful to you for coming along this evening. Thanks again. Feel free to leave. That's the end of the session. We have recorded it, so